I actually love seeing people progress and become better. So that's what my passion is.
Welcome to the next episode of the My Posing Coach podcast. I'm joined today by exercise professional and sports nutritionist, mum of 3 kiddies, and she's probably more famously known as Mrs. Gentech, Angela Jones.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks for coming today.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show.
And I know you've come straight from, was it kids sport or kids?
Yes, dancing. So
dancing.
We've had a mini sport this morning for the toddler. And now the girls are off doing their acro and hip hop dancing.
Oh, they're doing hip hop?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So we're juggling. we're on a timer.
Yeah. So how long do they do the hip hop for? Is it the 10-week block?
They do it for the whole term,
yeah.
essentially. And same goes. They're doing ballet, jazz, as well as hip hop and acro.
What's their favourite? For Electra, what's her favourite? She's the oldest.
She's loving hip hop.
Yeah.
And she's older, so she can get those moves. Hip hop's quite uncontrolled. You know, you're throwing your body around in all sorts of directions.
More coordination,
it's more. It's sort of that street dancing that you see a lot on the film clips. So
yeah,
it's not like your step 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So she loves it. Mariah's loving the jazz and acro, so they're learning how to tumble. How old's
Mariah? She's the middle
6.
one.
She's just turned 6. Yeah, my middle child. Yeah.
And she's the little monkey. She's the one that's quite outgoing.
She's got a huge personality.
Yeah.
So her middle name is Xena, which means warrior princess, and she really is a Xena. And then we've got Xander, who's just turned 3.
Yeah.
So he's a preschooler now.
He's just started coming out of his shell.
He has big personality. He's still shy initially. He chooses who he lets in. But once you get to know him, he's got a huge personality and he doesn't stop talking.
Which one out of the kids is most like you?
My middle child.
Mariah,
yeah. She's got a big personality.
Yeah. I've met all of your kids and they're all, I must say, Electra, so well behaved. We were talking about she's the little mother hen, isn't she?
She's beautiful.
In your family.
Yeah, she's my English Rose. Very sensible, very sensitive, very caring, and I'm not just saying that because she's my child. She's
no, she is. She comes across like that.
They're both angels. They're both very caring, and that's the feedback I get from a lot of teaching staff and other children they interact with. So one's a lot quieter initially, and one just tells it like it is.
Yeah. And when you were pregnant with all of your kids, were you training at that time?
I was. I trained through all my pregnancies, although it changed towards the later stages. We came across some challenges such as a sprained lower back.
Oh,
so
really?
I had to.
Who was that with? Who were you pregnant with then?
That was with Electra, and I think I did it when I was a little bit overconfident with carrying heavy shopping up quite a few flights of stairs. Yeah. So when I got to the top, then I felt my back go.
Yeah.
And I was quite big then. I was sort of in the last stages of pregnancy.
Yeah.
And being the way I am, I don't like being told to slow down.
Yeah.
You don't want to sort of accept that your abs are not as tight as they used to be when your belly's pushing through with the last trimester and the baby being close to term.
So what did that mean for you? Were you unable to walk? Like how badly did you hurt yourself?
I ended up limping actually. I was limping. Yeah, Nick was my my
carer.
walking friend for some time. Yeah. We got there. I had to rest. I just had to rest ultimately, and I changed my training. So that's when I stopped teaching body pump, and I think it was around the 8th month.
Yeah, you were telling me because through the pregnancies you were still teaching a lot of your classes.
Yeah, I loved it. Actually.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
It. So the thing is, I had quite a lot of morning sickness throughout my pregnancies, and I found that the training stopped it for a little while post-training. So it helped me quite a bit.
Do you think that was more endorphin related or just because you had to focus on teaching a class and you weren't thinking?
Yeah. So when you step on stage, it's not about you anymore. It's about all the people in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're focusing on what they're doing, what's coming next, the choreography, instructing.
It was a good distraction then.
Absolutely. So you don't have time to think about, I'm not feeling so good right now.
Yeah. So what class did you say that was? That was
body pump.
That was the body pump.
Yeah. So
that's a weights-based class.
Yes. It's a strength, endurance or conditioning class. So high volume with fairly challenging weights if you want to go there.
Yeah, definitely.
The good thing is I could adjust my workouts you know, like raising or elevating the bench during the bench press rather than laying flat. You know, I wouldn't do the abdominal exercise at the end, but the members would love it. They knew that I was pregnant and I couldn't do everything with them. But, you know, we got...
So they were easy on you in that sense.
They were
They
easy
didn't
on
expect
me.
you to do it.
But I was still pushing heavier shoulder press load than some of the guys in the club.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So we were using that as motivation. I was like, come on, guys, you've got a pregnant woman here. So, it was good. Good fun, good memories.
So did you get any backlash from being pregnant and teaching? Like, was there anyone that sort of said, hey, you shouldn't be doing that?
Yeah, I mean, you get that when you're pregnant. All these experts pop out.
Yeah.
That was my experience. Everyone always had advice to give.
Yeah. What sort of advice would they give?
You shouldn't be
That
training.
was unwanted.
Yeah, well, people commenting on your physique is the one that you don't need, especially the first time round.
Yeah.
Because I always competed and stayed close to being in great shape.
Yep.
Then, you know, pregnancy set in and people had never seen my body change or me putting on a certain amount of weight. So you'd get comments like, oh, it's about time you got fat, you know. Or I remember,
you're like, wow,
it's so fantastic. What was another one I got? I walked into a gym one day and a personal trainer that I knew stopped me, a male, in front of his 2 male friends and said to me, wow, what's happened to you? Boys, this girl used to have the best physique before. She's ruined it now. It's all gone. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm just pregnant. But
you can understand why so many women have a complex about being pregnant and putting on weight.
Yeah,
because they're not made to feel very comfortable or confident about it.
Yeah,
Look,
and I was pregnant. I had the big belly.
Yeah.
You know, or I had another woman tell me that all the weight's gone to my ass, if I can say that.
So you can swear. You can say
so
whatever you like.
The first look. That helped for the second and third pregnancies because I didn't care afterwards. But for the first one, when your body's changing so much, you're feeling tired, you're feeling weak, it's out of your control, really.
Yeah.
So
and it knocks you around.
It
like
knocks
mentally.
you around, and then you've got unwanted because people wouldn't walk up to an obese person. Oh, I don't think they would, and say, "Hey, you're so, you know, obese," or comment on their physique in a certain way. But somehow I feel. Generally, a lot of people feel comfortable commenting on fit people.
Yep.
I think they feel because you look strong certain times throughout your career or life that you're tougher mentally or emotionally and they don't think you can break.
Yeah. Almost like testing you to see what it will take to break you.
Yeah. Or
without really knowing it or realising it.
Yeah, generally speaking. But it was a good experience for me because I learnt a lot. It took me out of my comfort zone and to see that side, I think, helped me a lot. It helps me a lot with training women.
Yeah, I bet.
And understanding how the body changes and how it can come back.
Yeah, which is quite amazing because I remember seeing you when you were pregnant with Xander, your third.
You were shocked.
I couldn't believe it. I was thinking it looks like you're having triplets.
Like
your belly looks so big.
Yeah.
And your belly looked
didn't
sore.
Belong. Yeah, it didn't belong in my body.
So big. No, not at all. And I mean, I thought you looked phenomenal whilst pregnant. But it was amazing to see the transformation from, you know, having a stomach so big with the baby boy to then being able to hop back on stage. How much longer after the pregnancy did you get back on stage?
With the third one, I think it was, so I had Xander in August. And I think he was 2 when I went back for the third time.
Like, that's a huge effort, Ange. Like, that's... But you worked hard to get there, obviously. It didn't just happen.
Yeah. So I tried to maintain a balance. So when I first had the babies, I didn't want to focus on crazy dieting and getting shredded. I wanted to focus on breastfeeding, holding my newborn, eating right, eating healthy, but not being, you know, really restrictive with calories and weighing everything. So I'm glad I did it that way because I'll never get those moments back again, and they're really precious times. And nobody needs you more than the newborn. Yeah. So it was taking time to come back, and it was, again, the comments started, you know, like...
What, you should have bounced back sooner?
Should have bounced back. And, you know, your midsection, when you have a baby, it doesn't shrink immediately. You know, it takes time for your uterus to return back to its small size. Yeah. And then you've got to go through and do the strengthening exercises for your midsection and so forth. So I think it took me 18 months each time before I got into photo shoot condition already. And then after I had Mariah, 18 months after I stepped on stage with the WBFF, as well as NABA WFF, which was great. I placed in the top 5 with the WBFF.
Yeah.
And I won the overall champion fitness model for New South Wales.
Yeah.
Which was after my second one. That was great, getting back on stage.
Yeah.
I was happy.
And did you find that, did you want the kids to sort of be involved in that? Like, were they old enough to understand what you were doing?
They weren't old enough. They weren't quite old enough then. With my most recent show, they were old enough to understand. And they loved it. They loved seeing Mum on stage, and it kind of transpires to healthy eating. So when we're at home, the kids talk to me about what other children are having for lunch and why they can't have certain things in their lunchbox every day, whether it's a Milo yogurt or a strawberry milkshake. Yeah. And it's like, well, we don't have that food every day. Like, even Mummy doesn't have that stuff every day. We have it sometimes or once a week. So it all tied in because they could see the healthy eating then resulted in the fitness goals.
Yes.
Returning back to a healthy weight. It's not always about the looks. It's also a lot about health.
Yeah.
And also teaching the kids. My son watched me diet. And
I remember you telling me about this because you're sponsored by Food for Fitness as well, aren't you?
Yes.
And you were talking about, some of the food that you had, and Xander would creep into your lunchbox and he'd be eating your chicken and portion-controlled meals that you needed for your comp prep.
Yeah, that's right. So I'd in the mornings it's always a crazy rush, and I'm out there trying to get the meals ready for the day, and there needs to be one meal heated up, ready to go to eat on the go. Yep. So I'd heat it up and put it together with my esky by the door, with my drinks for the day, my protein powder for the day, the kids' stuff for the day. It's all there, and then I'd run to the kitchen to prepare one or two other things or make sure everything's switched off. And I'd hear lunchbox cracking open, and I'd be like, what's he up to? He'd come around the corner and he'd be, his lips would have a little bit of grease on it, and a little bit of green broccoli coming out as well. And I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Yummy, Mummy." So he became obsessed with eating broccoli, not because I taught him that.
He was a broccoli fan, which most mothers would be like.
Yeah, I had someone comment in a restaurant yesterday when they saw him eating broccoli. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe it."
Good boy.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Well, I didn't do that. He did it on his own, and he's taught his older sisters to eat broccoli."
Oh, that's great.
So something great came from that.
Little broccoli lover.
Yeah,
no, that's great.
Yeah.
That's good. And what about the girls? Like, do you find that they've got a sweet tooth, or are they pretty good with their eating? I know that you obviously make your kids eat healthy anyway.
Yeah,
but is it hard sometimes because, like you said, with the lunch boxes, they see what other kids are eating?
It's just influence, and then you find with a lot of the schools in the canteen that there still is quite a lot of the high sugar foods. Yeah. Loaded with preservatives and additives and all sorts of stuff, and they promote it as a healthy
option.
Yeah, and it's like, well, no, it's not.
Yeah, because I remember going to school, and one of the healthy options you could buy was a bread roll with just butter.
Oh, yeah, that was a healthy option.
Yeah, that was a healthy option instead of a pie.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, what?
Yeah, well, they're serving slushies. They're loaded with sugar and colour. Yeah. What's that going to do to a child when it goes to class? Can it sit down and focus? And then they have the crash. So. It's like, oh.
And they're going to be grumpy little
that's
arseholes.
That's right. This the mood swings, and you can't get them to sit down and focus. But they're pretty good. Yeah. So again, on the weekends or if we go to a party, I still allow them to enjoy a treat. Yeah. But now we're at the point where we're going to parties, and I've allowed them to,
indulge in whatever they want.
Feeling sick, don't want to eat this, put it away.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because a lot of my clients and your clients, they'll feel the same thing. Like, they don't realise how bad they feel until they don't eat that for a while.
Yeah.
And then when they revert back, suddenly it's making them feel unwell.
Yeah, bloated guts.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't notice
Headaches.
it if you're eating it all the time.
Yeah,
you
true.
really don't.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well, speaking of food and that kind of thing, like you're Greek?
Yes,
Greek background.
Born in Australia.
Yeah.
With the Greek heritage, yeah.
And how does the Greek diet influence the comp prep stuff? Like,
what's
do you
funny,
feel like you miss out?
Oh, if I'm going to a Greek party, I stay away. Relatives.
Sometimes it's easier just not to go.
Just not to go, yeah. Look, my grandmother and mother were great Greek cooks, but they had a huge focus on nutrition and healthy eating.
Yeah.
So my grandmother, for example, would make garlic juice because of the benefits of garlic. And
it's meant to be really good for colds,
for colds, it's a natural antibiotic.
Yeah.
There's a whole list of benefits.
Do you make that for your kids?
No, I can't do that. No way. I have to stay away from the house for a week. So she had a huge focus on health because she had gained quite a lot of weight. She had 8 children.
Yeah, wow.
She had quite a lot of weight after she had the 8 children, but she did her own research through reading her own books and started doing her own healthy eating and dropped the weight. She was like a fanatic. My mum's the same. She's a fanatic when it comes to that. But saying that, they think you should eat until you're really full and then take a snack when you're on the road. Still eat all the way home and make sure you eat and stay strong. Their mantra is stay strong. But when it comes to parties and so forth, it's really hard to go to a Greek function and say, sorry, I can't have the baklava, I can't have the dips and the bread. They think, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
What's wrong? Are you
like
Greek?
Mentally wrong with you.
But the good thing is the Greek culture has a huge passion for bodybuilding. So the Spartans were the first original bodybuilders.
Yeah, totally.
So there is a bit of an understanding when it comes to bodybuilding or
for
passion.
a particular
being an athlete.
Physique.
Yeah. So,
That's
it's in
good.
there. You just got to explain it.
And so what part of the Greek cuisine is healthy? Like what parts of that
Look,
do you
most of it is
improve?
pretty good. It's when you start adding the fats and the sweets. So essentially the Mediterranean diet is quite good. It's lean meat, grilled meats, beans, like lentils, a lot of vegetables, grilled fish.
And good oils.
Olive oil.
Yeah, good quality olive oil.
Yeah, so it's great. A lot of the diet is great and it can be sustained. And a little bit of wine they suggest with every meal.
Yeah.
It's just that some people take it a little bit too far. And it's the desserts too. So when you're going into the baklavas or galaktobouriko, which is the custard
Beautiful.
pie, it tastes amazing. That's when we start loading, But essentially, it's not that hard. And I love eating some souvlaki with rice and salad. Easy.
Yeah.
Tastes great.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
And do you do, because I know that you've got a nutrition qualification?
Sports nutrition.
Qualification,
and a Bachelor of Exercise Science, majoring in health science.
So, and I know that you've also done a lot of videos for Gentech as well with, making different types of recipes and things like, is that influenced by the Greek background
probably,
as well? Or?
Yeah, we love to feed those we love. That's how we show our love. A lot of the Europeans are like that, right?
Yeah,
like the
absolutely.
Italians, the Maltese, it's, they love to feed their families. And I like getting creative. The thing with dieting, I don't want to feel restricted and I want to be able to do it long term.
Yeah.
So if my kids are having ice blocks by the pool, I can pull out my amino lean ice block and feel like we're sitting there together eating our ice blocks.
Yeah.
Or with the custard, the protein custard. So we're having our pancakes. I'll make my diet version if I'm dieting.
Yeah.
They have their buckwheat pancakes and then they have their yogurt on top and Mummy has her custard on top. So you're involved while still.
For people that don't know, the custard is made by Gentech.
Yes.
And it's a high protein, low fat, low carb.
Yeah.
Great
dessert
tasting.
option. Yeah, it tastes amazing. Believe it or
does.
not, it does taste amazing.
Yeah.
So it keeps you full for longer and you don't feel like you need to have the ice cream or the junk food. It sort of fulfills that
very
sugar
satisfying.
craving. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it's something that you can have without feeling like you're cheating, but it's a dessert without all the bad shit.
That's right. So if you're trying to get somewhere with your goals, you can still get there without feeling like you've been deprived.
Yeah.
And all it takes is a little bit of effort. Just goes a long way.
Yeah, it does.
Just think, how can I do this? This is what I do anyway. I think, how can I do this and still be within my targets where I want to go? Because I hit 40 this year as well.
Yeah, you did.
So things change, So you
when did you start realising that, maintaining a certain physique was becoming harder, or is it only sort of
after
just
the
started
kids?
Oh, right. Oh, good.
After the kids, but you know what? It just takes more because you are so focused on the kids. Well, I am. You're so focused on the kids.
Yeah.
You're stressed. You're tired. You hardly sleep in the early years, so it's easy to just forget about yourself and skip a couple of meals. And before you know it, you're just eating some comfort food, or they've gone to bed, then you start eating.
Yeah.
And it's easy to just let go.
Yeah.
It is. Because you're tired.
Yeah.
You're exhausted, you're overwhelmed. The last
and when
thing
your
you
brain's tired,
your brain's
you crave
tired.
carbs.
And you're not going to
like
want
that,
to go
don't
in
you?
the kitchen and make this huge meal prep and start cooking all the chicken and the rice and weighing it out. You're just destroyed, you're smashed.
Yeah. Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah, Mum takes, bottom of the ladder position. It's not just about you.
Yeah.
It's not like previous to kids, we'd go to work, we'd have our training, we'd have our meal preps, and after we trained, we could go home and
Life is
just
simple.
answer a couple of emails and, prepare for the next day. No, it's not like that now. You get home, you've got to shower, 3 kids, you've got to do their homework, you've got to settle them. They might have their tantrums or, you talk them through what's happened for the day and
just spend time with them.
Spend time with them, love them, read to them, cook for them.
Yep.
Yeah. And then once they go to bed, you've got to wash and prepare their uniforms for the next day. There's a lot to do, as most mums and dads out there would know. And I think a lot of people wouldn't really appreciate until they get there and have to do it.
Absolutely. So, Ange, like in terms of comp prep, because obviously you've prepared for shows having 3 kids and people say what a selfish sport comp prep is. How did you juggle having a family and also putting the time into yourself so that you could have your meals prepared and getting enough sleep and all of these things to get the physique that you need for stage? Like, what did you do? Well,
it is different when you have children and you prep, I must say that. You don't have the luxuries of getting all your rest in. Sometimes the work gets cut short. Like, say, if you're training and your toddler or your child's in the creche and you need to attend to them, you get only a certain amount of time in the creche, it's cut short.
Workout's interrupted.
So you've got to be flexible with your mindset. Otherwise, you'll just throw the towel in and go, this is too hard, I can't do it. So sometimes I couldn't train in the day. I'd have to go once they all went to bed and I was tired.
When Nick was at home.
Back at home, yeah. So what else? We meal prep. The meal thing is easy with Food for Fitness. So that helps quite a lot. It's just when you're out and about that things, if you've left your meals behind.
Then what? So when you do leave your meals behind, like what sort of food do you opt for? Like how do you sort of combat that? What's a good healthy option?
Plain chicken salad, no dressing, grilled fish, salad, broccoli, steamed veggies, a little bit of rice or sweet potatoes. What else?
I used to say to people, because this is what I used to do when I was back in Perth, like you can always get a pub meal with a nice steak, steamed veggies, no sauce, no
all
nothing.
On the side, you can do that. Just going back to the question, juggling the kids and the prep. So what was the...
Did you find that Nick sort of took over or were you able to manage?
So we had to throw in posing. That was another thing I had to do. So Nick had to step up. So if I had to go out and do my posing the last few weeks, essentially he had to step in. And
so you do need a support network.
You have to. If your partner's not supporting you, I don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. And he understands what it takes as well. But ultimately, I still tried to be mum, and even in the last week of prep, I took the kids away on holiday and made sure that we had a cabin with a barbecue so I could grill all my meats and have it all ready. So, it's possible.
Possible, but just a little bit of extra preparation and forethought.
And force the smile when you're in the last few stages of prep and be mindful that you're not being selfish. Just be mindful. That was at the forefront of my brain. I don't want them to think that I'm being selfish, so I was focused on putting their needs first.
Being mum. Then, absolutely.
So cardio would be on the beach when we were away, so they'd come with me. The little one would sit there and play with Dad, and, the girls would walk with me. We'd stop at the park. They'd play for a little bit. Let's keep going.
And all
take
of that
the scooters.
is physical activity, like it's
with
movement.
the kids. Or when I'm doing cardio at home, I have a bike set up with a craft table set up next to me.
Great.
So the kids can come and sit down. We're doing craft, and I'm talking to them whilst I'm doing cardio.
Yeah.
You know, so they're involved.
Yeah.
I'm not pushing them to the side and going, okay, I'm going to do my training now. So they're involved.
Yeah, that's nice. And that, I guess, you know, you're not losing out on anything either.
Yeah.
You've got the best of both worlds almost. You can do what you want to do for the competition, but also have your kids
involve
around
the
you.
kids, involve them.
Yeah.
So you're giving them your time still.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And what got you into the nutrition side of things? Like, why did you want to go and study nutrition?
Well, after competing, I saw the massive impact nutrition has on transforming your physique and how you feel ultimately. Yeah. I've always had an interest in nutrition, and they don't sort of teach you a lot of, you know, body recomposition stuff at university.
Yeah, it's more eating for health rather than...
Or doing a triathlon and having jelly beans before you go out and a big bowl of pasta.
Yeah, I remember that. And then, you know, muffins and...
Yes.
I think one lady was actually telling me that her nutritionist said it's okay for her to have half a pint of beer after a marathon because it was full of carbs.
Oh, dear.
Wow. Imagine.
No. Wow. I don't even drink beer.
Especially after a long run. I couldn't think of anything worse.
Yeah. So... It's interesting. I find it really interesting, and the power. Was it Hippocrates? That talked about medicine. Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food.
Yeah,
and it's powerful.
Yeah.
So every time you eat, I believe you're either nurturing your health or nurturing disease. So that's why I thought this is a really good. Topic for me to study, you know, and broaden my knowledge. And I love studying. So I feel like we never know enough. When you feel like you know enough, then I think you sort of grow stale. Yeah.
No, that's so true.
Yeah.
And you haven't, well, there's a potential that you might continue studying as well.
I'd love to. I'd love to go back, whether it's medicine or nursing.
Yeah. You're not sure yet?
No, and it's just a matter of juggling the 3-year-old because he's with me full time, and I still want to be a great mum.
Yeah.
Whether it's this year or next year, it'll be sooner. I'd love to return to university and further my studies.
And so, would you want to like do sort of more online stuff with that? If you get a degree in,
No, I'd like to go on campus. I feel like I'd like to be in that environment.
Yeah.
I prefer to be in that environment rather than being at home, being stressed with the children.
Yeah.
You know, I find that my mind switches on better when I'm in the zone, in that environment.
In a classroom.
In a classroom with
lecture
other,
room.
That's right.
Yeah.
Focus on.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So that's something as Xavier gets a bit older. Xander, sorry.
That's all right.
Xander gets a bit older. Yes. Xander gets a little bit older, then you might consider going back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Definitely.
And are you still teaching a lot now? Like, are you doing as many classes as you were?
I'm not doing as many as I was, again, because of my active role with having Xander with me full time. So ultimately, when I did return to teaching, I noticed that when I'd go off and learn my choreography, the child wants your attention, and so he'd be jumping off the couch or running off and playing up because they want your attention. They want it. They want to connect. Yeah. So I thought, no, I'll pull back a little and return to it when he's a little older. So I'm not teaching as much as I used to.
So when you used to teach, like what was the maximum amount of classes you'd do in a week?
At one stage I was doing 17 classes a week as well as my own training.
That's huge.
And you know, say for example, when I was working at Balmain Fitness as well as number 1 health club in Martin Place. So I'd finish a back-to-back session, whether it was pump and spin or a double spin session. And then I'd walk from Balmain across Anzac Bridge through the city over to teach another double spin class in Martin Place at lunchtime.
Imagine how many steps you would have been doing.
Oh, I didn't measure it.
It's huge.
I loved it though. It was a little crazy. I loved the feeling.
What was your favourite class to teach? Like, did you have a personal favourite?
Well, I got into teaching body attack, and I love body attack. It's such a sports-inspired, high-energy program. It's very athletic.
Yeah.
It's a lot of burpees, tuck jumps, plyometric training.
How did you find all of that after being pregnant?
Well,
how was your bladder? How was your pelvic floor?
No, I got that question once when I went back. Someone said to me, "Oh my God,
how can you do that?"
It was fine.
Yeah,
but you know, it's different for everyone.
Yeah,
Just got to learn to activate.
Because my poor mum, like, she had such a hard time after my brother, because we're like your family.
Yeah.
So 2 girls, and then she had her son, my brother. And she said to me, because I used to tease her, I said, Mum, why are you crossing your legs when you sneeze? And she said, you have no idea. And she was quite into, fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we give up a lot to become mothers. I wouldn't change it for the world. But it doesn't mean that we can't be the best versions of ourselves. Your body changes. I'm not one of those people that'll say, oh, look at me, I got my physique back and it's back to where it was. It changes, but you can still
adapt
your best version. Don't give up just because, a lot of women are carrying that postpartum weight and people say to them, just forget about it. It's done now. Your body will never be the same. So they give up.
Yeah.
And they start feeling bad about themselves. Their energy's low, their mental
It's
outlook.
the mindset.
That's right. Just do what you love. Do something you love and just focus on your goals.
Yeah. Yep.
And you'll feel great.
Yep. And you haven't always been into, obviously, the gym. You were telling me off air that you're actually quite involved in soccer and you played a lot of soccer when you were younger. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I played through my teens and I loved it. Look, I grew up with a brother that was 5 years older and my father was a football or soccer fanatic. So I was always surrounded by it. On Sundays,
You're
my
sitting
dad
next to another soccer fanatic,
right.
Harry.
Yeah, so I would be with my father on the weekends. He'd take me to the soccer matches.
Sydney Olympic.
Yeah. And then we'd
there
go
you
to
go.
Belma Hercules and we'd be there, watching the games.
Yeah.
So when I went home and said to him, I'm going to play soccer, he couldn't believe it. He's a Greek father, the girl should be in the kitchen. I've done a lot too much. I've rocked up with a surfboard once and he's watching TV. He's like, what's that? Rock climbing. He thought I was a little bit crazy.
Yeah. My sister's copped it too.
So I think I kind
older
of...
Harry?
Yeah, 3 of them,
You had 3 older sisters.
So I think I broke him eventually. Not broke him, but that's... the traditional European immigrant sort of mindset.
Yeah.
And he could see that I was serious.
Yeah.
And I kept going further and further.
So how far did you go with the soccer? Like what levels
State
did you
league,
play?
state league level.
Yeah.
And I finally gave up when I was 19 and I was working as a fitness instructor. So I'd be injured because I'd played for the reserve grade in the first grade, and then I'd be destroyed, or I'd strain my quads, or ankles were destroyed.
Starts affecting your
I couldn't teach on Tuesday nights. I was exhausted. I wasn't taking amino acids and all the rest of it. I didn't know about support and recovery and all the rest of it. I just smashed myself and saw that my body wasn't recovering. I couldn't work, couldn't make an income. So I just pursued the gym instructing.
Yeah. And you said that, so were you, to get your strength and conditioning qualification, were you scouted through the soccer? Like, how did that come about?
Yes, so my passion I used to train at home in my garage prior to being introduced to a gym. So I had the passion and discipline.
What equipment did you have in your little
I had a concrete floor.
Yeah.
And a lot of exercises. So like the push-ups, plyometric push-ups, squats.
So mainly body weight stuff.
Mainly body weight stuff.
Yeah.
I would do my calf raises off the step. I do a lot of sit-ups every single night. I think it was 300 a night.
Yeah, and where did that number come from? Or do you just...
it was 100 a certain way, 100 another way, and another 100, different style sit-ups. And it was just go for it.
So you obviously had the discipline back then to, set yourself little challenges and
Just
achieve
go for
those
it.
challenges. Yeah.
And I had a boxing bag. So I do the kickboxing style training.
Was that your brother's?
That was my brother's, and
Yeah.
then it became mine.
Yeah, and then it was yours.
Then it was mine. So when we were soccer training, we had a strength and conditioning coach, Archie. He'd come in once or twice a week. And
you know Archie?
Yeah, Archie Kazaz, I think it was.
Yeah, I know Archie.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I coached at Olympics.
So, he'd come in. I found his training so interesting. Like, I was so interested and I loved it. Then he'd take us to his gym and I'd say to him...
Whereabouts was his gym?
That was Marrickville Indoor Soccer Centre. Yeah. No, it was just... It's now I think it's like a timber yard now. Used to be across from Terry Mitsos gym.
Oh, wow.
In Marrickville. So they're the old days. It was an indoor soccer centre and there was a gym attached.
Yeah.
So I used to always say, come on, Archie, how can I do this or how can I teach classes? And he goes, you have to come to the gym more than once or twice a week. He used to give it to me straight.
Yeah.
So then he saw my passion, I guess, and he gave me an opportunity. And I met with NRL Australia. and they interviewed me and offered me a sponsorship or an apprenticeship. So ultimately I went off to uni twice a week and studied fitness instruction for a year. And I was on the job 3 days a week working at the fitness centre, which I loved.
So what doing? Like a gym instructor kind of role, floating on the gym floor?
Yeah, so I started teaching circuit classes. I would train soccer teams that came through.
Yeah.
And I was young.
Yeah.
And it was a male-dominated role, so you had to deal with quite a lot of attitude. I learnt to become quite tough.
Thick-skinned?
Yeah, and tough early on.
Yeah.
And how to handle it without being a Nazi.
Yeah.
And, cleaning gym equipment, wiping it down,
I actually used to love doing that, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite therapeutic.
Yeah. You didn't have to think much.
Yeah, and now I'm like, ew.
And then he was, he'd get me to walk around and talk to members, and I was shy. I was a really shy person, believe it or not, and that's probably where Xander, my son, and my daughter Alexa get it from, being really shy.
Yeah.
But it forced me to, break through that shell and learn to talk to people and approach them.
You've got no choice when you're teaching classes either.
And he'd make me go out to the gym floor and talk to people.
Yeah.
While they were training, I'm like, I'm not going to bother them. Yeah. So, it was a big learning curve. I met lots of wonderful people doing the certificate at TAFE. A lot of them were athletes, obviously
quite
through NRL.
then.
Yeah. And I was a high school dropout, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I went to TAFE and I was a straight A student in anatomy and physiology. The teachers were quite impressed, and so was I. I was like, wow, where's this coming from? To the point where someone suggested that I look at applying to university and furthering my interests in exercise. And I thought, me? I didn't even finish school.
Yeah.
So I did that. I applied, and they took my athletic background into consideration, and they looked at all my results from TAFE, and they looked at all my references from my TAFE teachers, and I was given 3 offers at 3 different universities. So I was shocked when I made it into university, so to speak.
Yeah, unreal.
And then I accepted the placement at Australian Catholic University, and went on to study exercise science.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting.
Yeah. It's funny, how much you can achieve when you're actually passionate about something.
That's what I learned. And I tell my children that.
Yeah.
When you find something you love,
it'll come easily or not easily. But
well, you want to.
You want to.
You will do it.
You want to put in the effort.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's your passion. So you can achieve anything when you're passionate about that thing. When you don't care, you don't care.
No, that's it.
You don't care. You can't be bothered.
Yeah.
So
No, that's awesome.
where it started, and from there it just kept going. I became a Les Mills group fitness instructor. Classes were at about 60 to 70 people on a Saturday morning teaching.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was massive, and I was young. And I was the baby instructor at Balmain Fitness, for example, or I'd teach at Sydney University for a long time. Most of the major clubs throughout the city, I was teaching there. I was young. But it taught me a lot, I must say. It taught me a lot, and it's helped me in many other aspects in life. I was also working as a medical device rep through my mid-20s. A lot of the confidence I built in talking to people through fitness, I applied to dealing with intensive care unit managers, anaesthetic managers, unit managers.
Being so young as well, I think that if you had a grasp on, the anatomy, they could relate a little bit better.
It's quite intimidating going into an intensive care unit and having to talk about your products and convince these managers why they should use your products and so forth. Yep. But I think the confidence built with the people skills helped greatly.
Yeah.
Building the relationships.
No doubt. Angela, thank you very much for coming on my podcast.
No problem.
I've loved having you on, and I'm actually looking forward to getting you back on again soon with Nick.
Okay, wonderful. I'm looking forward to it too. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, welcome. Okay. And if people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way?
They can hit me up on Instagram, Angela Jones Fitness, all one word, or they can message the Gentech Nutrition website, which is www.gen-tech.com.au.
Great, thank you very much. You're welcome. If you'd like to find out more about My Posing Coach, you can contact me via my website, myposingcoach.com, or hit me up on Instagram at myposingcoach. Thanks for listening. Bye.